everybody, I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just want to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in Season 2, Episode 5 of the Loki series. So if you haven't watched that episode yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Disney+, check that episode out, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
Joining with me to break down all of the craziness from Episode 5, Season 2 of the Loki series, it's Johnny Rico.
Hello.
Oh, I went up and then went down.
Yeah. You
So, Episode 5. I mean, I gotta say, look, we had the craziest of Episode 4, and it just didn't stop. I kind of wish we got both episodes kind of, like connected type of thing, because I mean, it just picked up right where it left off. So they're very connected as it is. But yeah, the craziness continues in this episode.
No time to waste.
Yeah, I'm very sad that we're nearing the end of this season of Loki, because I just think it's just been great, and every episode is just built even better on top of the previous episode and kind of gone forward like that. Like there's so much I like about this series and Loki the character, and I'm gonna get more into that in my takeaways and stuff like that. But just yeah, I'm super happy with this series right now, and I'm really sad that next week is kind of the end of the season. Hopefully not the end of the series, but the end of the season at least. But anyway, initial reactions to this episode, just like I said right away, we pick up immediately after the loom exploding at the end and fade to black at the end of Episode 4. We pick right back up there. And you know what? It was kind of a theory. I wanted to address this super early. There's been a theory that's been going on pretty much since the very first episode when we saw Loki time slipping, that this might be something that he's going to eventually learn how to control. And that this was kind of the episode where, the dam broke and he had to be able to control it, and he had to be able to use it by the end of the episode type of thing to, escape spaghettification, I guess.
Yeah. Something he found a temporary fix for before, and now you need to find it. Rather than get rid of it, he needs to find a way to control it.
Right, exactly. So new achievement unlocked. It's like a video game where like you have the thing that goes across and it says new achievement unlocked. We can get a little icon that goes ding, achievement unlocked. Anyway, but yeah, so I really liked him kind of. We were back. It was almost like the feeling of being back in the very first episode where he was just kind of jumping craziness in between all of these different timeline branches and stuff like that. And it was just, we had that craziness of kind of the first episode when he didn't know what was going on or how to control it or how to do anything with it. So I did like that part again, because, I liked that from the first episode originally. But as a side note, I have to say this, and I know you're going to touch more on it, so I'm not going to get too far into this, but I just love that OB, no matter what, and no matter what branch timeline he's on, he is still OB through and through. Just all the interactions that we had between him and Loki it was so similar as like the normal OB from the TVA that it was just very funny to me. And I just really appreciate that character in general. But Rico, before I get too far into it, because there's so much to talk about and unpack from this episode, what were some of your instant reactions from Episode 5?
Yeah, this is a pretty fun episode. Definitely picks up right where it leaves us off from last week. Waste no time getting to the point to like, okay, like Loki's back here in the room. He was back in that same room, but he's still time slipping and all that. So it's going back to kind of doing that whole full circle character arc moment for him, going from not being able to control it to, okay, this is how we're gonna resolve this in this episode. And it was a really fun episode for him to do that.
Yeah.
And it obviously sets up a really fun finale episode for him as well. But one thing I really did like is getting to see the alternate take on the characters that we've seen from the TVA, right? We pretty much getting to see them as who they're supposed to be, whether it's Mobius as Don selling and jet skis and stuff like that, and ATVs, or B-15 as a doctor. One thing I think is interesting is that um, who these people are is really like a reflection of who they are in the TVA, like their strongest kind of like personality traits. Like you can tell that B-15 always wanted to really like help people within the TVA. And then and of course, when you see who she really was, she was a doctor. So I'm like, okay, it makes a lot of the sense now. But she's also plays the part a lot different too. I think that's what I like is that they have little subtle differences in the way they play the characters that makes them their own people. So I really enjoyed seeing that part. The one that's the most different to me is probably Casey
Yeah.
as Frank, the Alcatraz prisoner. Again, a great showcase of the actor's ability to play multiple kind of roles. He could play this, geeky, nerdy desk guy, or he could be this, 1920s, 1930s Alcatraz prisoner guy, which is also very fitting as well. So yeah, I think that was a really fun aspect of the episode, and of course, there's some major things happening on as well with the whole spaghettifying of the timelines and all that, and where that leads to the going into the finale and how that affects a lot of our characters in this episode. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I don't know if you noticed this, minus and so this theory doesn't completely work because I think B-15 we only see a little bit and she kind of is like you said, she's a doctor, she's able to help people. And that's
Mhm.
the only scene we really see of her. She's,
Yeah,
helping a little girl broke her arm and she's like, telling her, "Hey, you can't climb trees," and like she's making jokes with her and stuff like that. So she's in a profession that she definitely wants to be in and stuff like that. But I don't know if you noticed this. It looked like every other character from the TVA that were now on their original timelines were having a worse life than,
right.
had they had it at the TVA type of thing. Like I said, it doesn't completely check out because we didn't see enough, I guess, of B-15's, you know, timeline to really know if like, if she's in a bad relationship or, you know what I mean? Like something weird.
She's
But
not as nice of a person. She kind of has this like high and mighty kind of doctor attitude. It seemed like sometimes she is a doctor helping people, but she kind of like Doctor Strange, or she's kind of doing it where she's like, I'm the best at what I do.
yeah,
But yeah, I did think that was an interesting dynamic that was also brought up in the episode between Loki and Sylvie, where it's like
right.
we put them back in their spots, and then we're not giving them the choice whether they want to go back or not.
Right, right.
Yeah,
I'm hoping at least that kind of leads to them getting the choice. But like I was saying, as we see their lives, we see them kind of not happy.
right.
I mean,
Not
not
going
that
their way.
they're, yeah, like things are just not like generally not going, especially for Casey. I mean, he's in Alcatraz
Yeah,
type
yeah.
of thing, and he's escaping, I guess, but he's going to be on the run for the
And
rest of
yeah,
his
he
life.
made it.
Yeah, he did make it. He did do
Yeah,
that. Um, but but yeah, that number one, I just it was a thought that I had, and I like I said, I can't really place fully the theory because we just didn't get enough of B-15's kind of timeline to kind of really talk about that or really see, if hers is better or worse. But that could go into the choice where like maybe everybody's is kind of a little bit worse than what they would have wanted, except
yeah,
for B-15, and like maybe the hope that she can, you know, help turn around the TVA. She does make the choice to go back to the TVA and leave her timeline type of thing. Like we could see that kind of thing. So maybe that does kind of fit in there. The other thing I do have to mention is like it's been a long time since I've really bought a Funko Pop. It's been a while. I know I
oh
have
yeah.
these two right here. I've had these for a while, but I do have to say this: there's a Funko Pop that just got announced that is a Target exclusive, and I might have to buy it. It is
Oh yeah, it looks pretty cool.
it's Mobius on a jet ski or Don, I guess, in his
I should have wore
timeline.
that shirt. Damn it, I had that Mobius on the jet ski shirt. I should have wore that
It's
today.
so good. Here's a picture of it, but it's
Yeah.
so good. I'm gonna have to get it. It was it's perfect. But anyway, you want to get to some big takeaways?
Yeah, before we do though, I did also forget to mention OB's kind of alternate life as the failed science fiction
Oh
writer,
yeah.
which also plays pretty handily into like his role later on, of course, with the plot. When you learn he's the writer of the TVA guidebook and how that all plays into the plot later on. I just kind of like the way they again we were kind of talking about the way they incorporate these things into the personality as we meet them in the TVA. Like like just like you said, OB is just straight up OB, like
OB all
in
the
every
time.
sense of the word. Like
Yeah,
he's a smart scientist, but he's also a great writer at the same time, and like that's exactly what Obi was in the TVA pretty much as well. So it's like
exactly.
it played out perfectly. So yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect a lot.
Well, this leads perfectly into your takeaways. So why don't you kick off big takeaways?
Yeah, let's do it. So yeah, again, talking about the TVA guidebook, I would say it probably comes into play in it the biggest way it has so far in the show, where uh, Loki's kind of stuck here with AD Doug, aka Obi, and he's got the knowledge that he needs to kind of go through all these hypothetical scenarios, but he doesn't have like like the guidebook. He doesn't have the steps.
The
AD Dev,
blueprints, yeah.
yeah,
He doesn't have
AD
that.
Dev doesn't have the blueprint in order to do it. And of course, like this book that we've been looking at the entire season, Loki looks down and he goes, "Wait, you wrote this? Like you have it right here." And he goes, "Okay, we can do it." And he makes like this kind of like just regular gadget thing made out of regular whole like stuff from his time. It totally reminds me of like him as Data in the Goonies, like him having like all these little gadgets and stuff like that, which is just like to me that's what it feels like. This is just a big nod to a lot of his old roles as a kid. So I really enjoyed that. Another thing I really loved is Sylvie in the record store. Was
Yeah.
just everything I love about this show. Style, big story, plot, progression with like her talent being done like be figuring out how she gets out of these situations with her just using the temp pad to get out of there. So that's how we found out that she escapes the loom in the last episode as well, and how she wasn't just taken back to her own timeline. So I thought that was really cool, and just the way she's kind of just like laying there listening to the music and just kind of like not realizing what's going on around her, and then boom, it just kind of kicks in the gear. I'm just like, wow, that's what makes like stuff like the show so great is scenes like that, and yeah, I just absolutely loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree with that. I also like just going more on how much I like Obi as a character. Just he's the only one who believes Loki just right off the bat. He's just like, "You're one of my characters from my books needs my help." Like it was just like immediately he's in type of thing. I just thought that was really that was really funny. But
Yeah, it
I
was
do
really
have to
good.
say this. I was thinking about this kind of as you were talking. There are some like the Sylvie scene in the record store is incredible, but there are some other scenes, just like quick scenes in this episode that are just like perfectly done. That they're creepy and just like the right way possible. Like when Loki does the first time slip in the episode, he slips like to like the future by like 5 minutes, and then he ends up repeating the thing, and he's the himself that says hello type of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
like a really quick scene. That scene is such a small part of the episode, but is done so well to be so creepy because he doesn't know if it's actually himself or not because he doesn't get the full turn before he slips away. It's such an interesting scene to have in this show, and just shows how much I think detail was put into every scene. Also, that's where he grabs the TVA handbook off the desk. Like he's not even thinking about it. It's before everything spaghettifies at the TVA. He grabs it. If he hadn't
Yeah,
grabbed that, he didn't like have one in his pocket. He just happened to grab it because he looked down as he was turning around, type of
like
thing.
a last resort. Grab this.
Yeah, yeah, type of thing. So I just the details and like just little tiny scenes in here that I just really appreciate. But I just
Also, sorry to interrupt,
oh
but
yeah,
one of the things I did love about this, the scene where AD Doug comes in with his homemade temp pad is like, how long has it been? Like a couple hours. Like it's been like 19 months for me. And goes,
yeah,
I lost my wife, I lost my home, and goes like,
Well, 19 months. I had to take a break and move out when I lost my job and my wife left me.
I did it.
yeah.
But
He's
here I
just like
am because
super happy.
that positive attitude. I'm like, that's why Ki Kwan is like perfect for this role in general. I still hope he's Kang, by the way.
I mean, that would be crazy. Like at this point, I don't know if that could happen. But yeah, look, we don't know what's gonna happen.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, and that's what I really like about this. We don't know what could possibly happen next week. But anyway, so I was just kind of as I was watching this episode, and there were so many things that like I did want to talk about, and we've already back and forth we've talked about a bunch of stuff already in this episode, but seeing Loki and Sylvie in the bar during that whole scene where Sylvie's asking, like, what do you really want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And at first he's like, I want to fix everything and all of this. And then she just keeps asking him, and he really gets down to the root of what he wants. He wants his friends back, which is like immediately just kind of I was like, holy shit. Like the realization of how much progression we've got from this Loki character in 2 seasons of the Loki series type of thing. He's gone from, I mean, because this is Avengers 1 Loki. This is Avengers 1 Loki. So we've gone from, Battle of New York, literally an hour after Battle of New York type of thing, where he doesn't even give a shit about his own brother or family in general.
Yeah, literally him at his worst.
Yeah, to him like wanting to pick up the pieces and wanting to hold on and get back his friends that he is now made and holds so dear to him type of thing. Like that is such an incredible character progression. I was just sitting there during that whole scene going, I can't believe they really gave us all of that in just like a short series type of thing. We've and I'm not even talking about 12 like 11 episodes type of thing. I'm talking about like the duration that this series technically covers. And I get it, we're at the TVA, time doesn't work, but the duration technically in there, his actual character change, and it's so cool to see that and to have that progression of a character. And like he wants to rebuild things, but at the core of it, he wants to rebuild he wants to get his friends back type of thing. He wants to be he's basically become a leader. He wants to be a leader. He wants his friends. He doesn't want to be a ruler. He doesn't want to conquer. Like this is the same person who wanted to conquer the earth, enslave the earth, like a series ago type of thing. It's just
went from having no friends to just wanting to be around his new friends.
Right. His new like adopted family, technically, like type of thing. I really, really hope that not only do we get that, I think we're steps away from him, progressing to get his kind of adopted family back. But I really do hope we get the payoff that I've kind of been talking about wanting, where in the overarching MCU in general, Loki then has to become like a leader, where he has to grab people from different timelines and stuff like that to kind of make the multiverse Avengers-ish type of thing, or at least a team from the multiverse. I really want to see that because we have that progression there. He is now the character that can be a leader and can band a group of people together, because he's already getting that inspiring air about him, where he can he convinced all of the characters who literally don't remember him at all to come with him because we need to save everyone type of thing. So I think on an MCU level, I really hope that we get that overarching payoff where he is kind of the one that has to gather multiverse Avengers together, because I just think it will be incredible to see if we can get that.
I feel like that scene kind of happens in this episode where he goes like jumping back and forth. Everybody's like, "We need you back here," and then you have that one shot of them all in one room, is like in their different outfits. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's like that's like the prelude of that scene that you want for sure.
Right. So that's why I'm hoping that I hope we get that payoff, that overarching payoff. That, and I'd really like to see his like kind of interaction with his brother Thor.
Heroes.
Yeah. Well, not only that, like I think there's some funny moments that can be had in that. Like obviously a lot of people aren't going to believe him. I could see the funny interaction between him and Doctor Strange, like almost like from like Thor Ragnarok version of it.
Cap is always a good back and forth. Yeah.
That one too, like Loki, this is a trick or something like that. But I also, on the kind of heartfelt, sentimental side, I want to see what his interaction would be between like seeing his brother Thor again, maybe seeing his father and mother again, like that kind of thing. I think would be
Guardians.
yeah, that kind of thing. I think would be really interesting to see again, and then them see this change that has happened, even if it's not the same timeline type of thing. Like even that like would still be a very interesting kind of dynamic to see, and I'm really hoping we get that overarching payoff. Look, the show's given me plenty, so I'm not like saying we need it, but just as an overarching MCU fan, I would really like to see that on a bigger scale, like outside of the Loki series type of thing. But yeah, I could talk for forever. Do you want to get to the most exciting part, some predictions for the finale?
Let's do it.
Awesome! All right, I'm going to kick off predictions. I think we both kind of know where this episode is going to go ahead of time, but both of us kind of have the initial, and then we kind of both go in different areas afterwards. So I just wrote this in the notes. Oh, shit! Cue Loki's Groundhog Day, because now he has the means to kind of redo things and change things to hopefully get a different result.
Yeah.
What I'm interested to see is to see how the finale plays out with that, because it's going to be like a butterfly effect. If he goes back and he changes one thing, it's going to change something else. It's going to change something else. So it might not just be as easy as going back with more information and it's going to fix everything. So I think we are going to see multiple attempts, and we're going to see him having to, well, that didn't work, so now I have to do this, or now I have to go back even further, or now I have to, talk to this person instead, or he may even kick off like who knows how far he's going to end up being able to go back type of thing. You know what I mean? But what I'm wondering, because there's basically kind of two outcomes from here. Either he's able to go back and change enough so that it does fix the loom, or it does prevent, I guess, the loom from completely exploding and having that unraveling spaghettification of the multiverse. Or he's going to realize that he can't fix everything. It either is going to be a sacrifice, or you know what I mean? Like he's going to there's plenty of movies, like not only just going back in time movies or anything like that, where there's a realization that you can't have everything be perfect type of thing. So I'm wondering, like I said, there's two outcomes. There's the happy where everything kind of works out. And then there's the, I guess, less fortunate where there's going to be some sort of sacrifice. He's going to have to figure out like, I can't fix everything. I can't put everything back the way that it could possibly be. Something's going to be different. Almost like Flash, where they did Flashpoint
something's got to come at a cost.
Right. So something you can't put, like, I like the analogy where there's cracks in the glass and like you can't put it back completely perfectly type of thing.
Right.
So like I think that's what I could see as being like the more plausible outcome, where he's able to stop the loom, but at the same time there's a cost. And that's what I'm interested to see, if that's going to be how it goes, or there's so many, like I said, there's so many ways it could go, but like those are kind of in my head. Those are kind of the potential predictions that I have for next week's episode. But Rico, what are some of your predictions going into the finale?
Yeah, I think there's some things that we have to expect going forward. Like, of course, like you were just talking about, like the finale is definitely gonna give us Loki's pretty much his big do-over. Like we're talking about with the whole loom explosion, and like it's taken us that moment with Timely, right? Like that's everything that happened right then. So it's gonna like where those characters go after whatever Loki does there is gonna be very interesting to see the fates of those characters. There's a question I just thought about kind of last night, and then kind of just popped up in my head again as we were talking about this. During the spaghetti scene with Sylvie in the record store, right before she takes the temp pad out, she steps out, temp pad closes, and then it stays on that shot of like nothing, but it's like black webbing, kind of like nothingness, like just kind of like basically black void of nothing. Basically, I don't even know what you would call it within the MCU. But it made me think like they lingered on that shot for like a millisecond, like long enough where I'm thinking like this is some area where this can be undone, like this can all come back somehow. Unless it was just there to show us that nothing is just there anymore. But I'm very curious to see if we'll get anything more with that in particular. But yeah. Also, the fact that we didn't get anything with them this episode, we need to get Ravonna and Miss Minutes back. Obviously they're back in the void at the Citadel. And I'm very excited to see what they've been doing since they got there. Obviously, I feel like Miss Minutes is okay with being there because that's where she was with He Who Remains to begin with. I need to see Eliath. I need to see what's going on there. And I want to see how those two stories are going to converge in the finale. I have to feel like they are in some form. So yeah, give me OB versus Miss Minutes.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, look, the sky's the limit for what could happen in the finale. I mean, we could look, like I said, because the TVA in general, the Void in general, are dealing with outside of time. The finale could lead to something that is years down the line for the actual MCU that we're following, type of thing. You know what I mean? Like this could all result in Battleworld. This could be like the very end could just be the precursor to Secret Wars. And they just jumped ahead because they're, like I said, they're not in time. They're outside of time while the MCU timeline has been going, type of thing. And we know we're getting Kang Dynasty, and we know we're getting Secret Wars. And we know that's going to deal with Battleworld and incursions and the craziness of the multiverse and stuff like that. So this could be the end before we see what happens before the end, type of thing. You know what I mean? This could all be happening at the very end, and then we just go and then go back to where did we leave off on the regular MCU going, type of thing? Oh, the Marvels. Yeah. And we're just in present time. But years down the line, when we get to Secret Wars, we're like, oh shit, that was the finale of Loki season 2. But yeah, there's so much I want to see. There's the other thing I have so many questions. I know we don't have answers for them yet, which is why
time before the finale is the time.
I know. So if the Void is outside of time and space, and the TVA was, how can the TVA have been spaghettified? Or is that just a natural pruning, and then all of the TVA stuff that we saw get spaghettified just shows up in the Void? Like, is the Void?
That was my question last week, I think. Yeah. So yeah, that's also what I'm wondering. That's also again what I think is going to set off Eliath again. Like he's going to have all this new stuff to consume, which makes him powerful.
Exactly. Yeah. Look, there's so much. There's so much to get into. The other thing I have to say is everyone being spaghettified at the very end was so hard. It was like watching Infinity War when people were getting dusted.
Yeah,
and everybody had like a last
degree, in a sense, but yeah.
And everybody had like a last like couple of words before they were completely gone. Oh man.
Yeah, that was probably the worst part of it. Is like everyone kind of had like their Peter moment where they're like, I don't want to know.
Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah. I mean, look, no matter what we get in the finale, this series has been awesome. And it has been an awesome ride. And I am not ready for it to end. But yeah, I can't believe the finale is already here. I'm so excited for next week. And in the meantime, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of episode 5? And what do you think is going to happen in the finale? And even more importantly, what is that going to be bearing on the main MCU in general? And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.